Hi, I'm Parker Butler with the Rockbridge Report, and today with me is the Assistant Superintendent for Rockbridge County Schools, Dr. Phillip Thompson. Dr. Thompson, thank you for being here with us today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Let's get started with what attracted you to education, what do you say?
Personally, I had some great teachers, middle school and high school, that turned me on to social studies and history. That's not a subject that a lot of folks gravitate to, but I did. And as I got older and got into it, I realized I could actually earn a living teaching this to kids, and I liked working with students. And then once I found out that I could coach and do that as well, then I was all over it. I was ready to be a teacher at that point. So coaching was a big part of it, but certainly social studies and working with students and helping them gain a passion for education was certainly right there as well.
What did you coach?
Basketball, football, and a little bit of track at the middle school level. So a little bit of everything.
How long have you been involved in the Rockbridge County school system?
Total as a teacher and administrator, about 13 years total.
Now let's talk about Natural Bridge Elementary.
Okay.
They failed to achieve state accreditation. What is the school board and the superintendent, as well as yourself, what are y'all doing as a result of that?
Well, first and foremost, Natural Bridge is a good school. You know, there's a stigma that comes along with not reaching full accreditation, as if the school is a poor school, and that's just not the case. We've got a lot of hardworking teachers down there, a lot of students who want to be successful, and teachers who want to do what's necessary to help them be successful. We recognize that there are some challenges down there, and over the last couple of years, we as in central office, Virginia Department of Education has sent some folks in. Our folks have gone in to do some observation and working with teachers. And in our evaluation process, we realized that there were some needs that we could help them with. We've added additional reading specialists at Natural Bridge. We also have worked with primarily the K through 2, kindergarten through second grade teachers, in trying to gain some consistency with the reading program down there. They were working hard. They were doing a lot of good things. They were just doing things differently from one another. And it was probably adding some challenges to students to be able to stay on the same consistent plane when they're doing different things in different classrooms. So we're trying to add that consistency down there with that new reading program that we put in.
What other factors would you say affect students testing with low scores?
Well, I mean, there are several. Probably one of the biggest ones that you see all the time, and I tend to agree with it, is it's home life. You know, if students typically have a supportive home life, parents who enjoy education, parents who make it a priority for their kids, make sure they're doing their homework, that sort. It's easier for students to be successful. However, in all communities, Rockbridge County included, you know, we have some families that both parents have to work multiple jobs. They may not be there when their kids get home sometimes. They can't be as supportive. They can't go visit with teachers as often as they would like because they're trying to make ends meet. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a fact that sometimes when kids don't have that same amount of support through no fault of their own, it's tougher for them to be able to be successful academically.
All right. So now President Obama's administration, they just signed into the Every Student Succeeds Act, also known as ESSA. Yeah. How do you think that's going to affect students in this county? Or do you think it'll have an effect?
I think it will. I am under No Child Left Behind. Testing, I agree with, I like accountability, I like standards. I don't like the way that the type of testing that came about as a result of No Child Left Behind placed such pressure on students, parents, teachers. It was one test, one day, and kids were graded on it, teachers were graded on it, schools were graded on it. I think every Student Succeeds Act will help mold that a little bit and take some of those pressures off of students. It'll help states be able to test a little bit differently, maybe not make it just one test, one day sort of thing. Some problem-based learning, some other things where kids can do some hands-on things to assess what they really know. It's tough to tell what a student really knows, how well a teacher teaches, or how well a school is performing from one test. So I'm hopeful that ESSA will help us in that. So.
For our viewers' sake, could you just give kind of a brief summary of the changes in standardized testing that ESSA will have an effect on?
Well, and it's early. I mean, that's something to keep in mind. You know, this is a federal law. Virginia has will have to adopt what they say, but Virginia could make things, typically has made things even more difficult. They have high standards. Virginia's very high standards when it comes to their education system. So from my perspective, the testing piece right now, as I said, has traditionally been primarily a multiple choice test. They've added some different types of questions recently. I think with ESSA, you will have different types of assessment. States will come in with some hands-on, problem-based learning, some open-ended questions. They may have multiple correct answers as opposed to just a right or wrong answer sort of thing. Those types of things, I think, better assess student knowledge and what they've gained throughout the course of the year as opposed to just a simple multiple choice test.
Do you expect major changes in the county or the country's education policies under President Trump?
Again, I think it's early. It's too early to tell. I do think certainly there'll be something. I'm sure that will come down. Education is a pendulum. I think it swings one way or the other every 5 to 10 years. And people that have been in education for a while will tell you when something relatively new comes out, oh, we did this 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I do hope that whatever changes come about, that the administration, consults with educators. Don't just make decisions based upon knowledge that is not part of an educator's perspective. And I hope that they don't apply any more unfunded mandates to us. I don't mind doing what they ask us to do. We want to be in compliance with anything that may come down from the federal or the state level. But it'd be nice if they ask us to do something, if they send some money along with it so we can do it effectively.
Well, let's go into Superintendent Jack Donald. He recently announced his plan to retire.
He is. Yeah.
Do you know his reasoning behind that decision?
Well, Jack is, Dr. Donald has been doing this, I say this, he's been educating students and teachers for almost 40 years. He's good at it. I've got a high amount of respect for him. He's taught me a lot. I wish he wouldn't retire. I wish he'd stick around for a while. I just think he's at a point where he feels like he's ready to start the next chapter of his life, and I certainly can't fault him for that. He's certainly earned it. So.
Do you plan to be a candidate for superintendent once Dr.
Yeah,
retires?
I will apply. The school board has decided, and I have encouraged and supported them that they want to do a search, a nationwide search, and I think that's a good thing. Above all, I want to make sure we get what's best for Rockbridge County, and so yes, I plan to be a part of that process, but we'll see what happens. So.
What do you think would qualify you to be the best candidate?
Well, for me personally, I'm a Rockbridge native. I grew up here. I'm a product of Rockbridge County Schools. Having said that, I've also been to other school divisions, and I've picked up a lot of different things that are done differently in other places. I've been in urban settings, rural settings, worked in high schools, middle schools, and my knowledge base of having been here in this community for the last 10 years as an administrator, I think lends an awfully lot to being able to state a case as to why I think I could probably lead the division in a positive direction, continue those things that Dr. Donald started, and continue to move forward.
Considering those, you said that you've kind of traveled and looked at other schools. Are there different things that you'd implement into the school system as superintendent if you were selected?
Well, I mean, there are certainly things that we can always improve. I mean, we've gained a lot of consistency in the last 3 years under Dr. Donald's leadership. I would want to continue that. We've done a lot of that at the elementary level with Natural Bridge and even all of our elementary schools, trying to gain some consistency. We want to change. We're in a 21st century environment. We know we need to change some of our programming, primarily at the high school, with CTE, Career and Technical Education, T&I. Programs that will help meet the needs of students to make sure they're ready to go into the workforce or continue their education somewhere else. I think there are some changes there that need to happen. First and foremost, I think we need to renovate Rockbridge County High School. It's our oldest building now, it's certainly functional, but it's not a 21st century building. So we've got a wonderful middle school in Maury River Middle School, and I think we need to look at Rockbridge County High School and try to make it to the same standard that Maury River is, or even better.
Thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Donald, thank you so much for coming in today and speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And for the Rockbridge Report, I'm Parker Butler.